Hello everyone, welcome back to the Preppers Fireside, and we're here joined as usual by Brian, the Scottish Prepper 73. How you doing, Brian?
All good, mate. How are you?
Not so bad, and always showing his face, looking great, is Hawkins. How you doing, Hawkins?
Yeah, not too bad, thanks, mate.
Good to not see you. And Alan, who's just going to have to get an official invite to join the Fireside, I think, at this point, gents, because he's been on that many that he should be part of the intro. Do we agree?
Yeah.
Like I say, Mike, I'm happy to be the standby guy, but
Well, if
it seems to be quite regular, so I'm happy to be here.
You have an official invite to join us if you would like it, Alan, but welcome to the night anyway.
Thanks.
Thank you to everyone who's already in the chat. There was people in there after I created the stream at like 2:56 p.m. Renegade Preppers was the first one in there. He's probably gone to bed now.
I'm surprised he was out of bed by that point.
Yeah, lots of green names who are members of the channel, which is really appreciated. Lots of blue names, which are the moderators, including our chief moderator, Miss Worm, and Evil Girl, who is our head honcho over at Facebook as well, to keep you in check. Great to see you all here. We're going to do a scenario tonight. We're not going to start off with a scenario, though. We're just going to talk about AI first for a little bit before we jump straight into a scenario. Because we've mentioned it on multiple different firesides several times. So, Brian, start with you. What's the short to medium term concerns for you for AI?
It's out of control. There's no brakes on the train, and everybody's in a race to make the train go faster. And the justification seems to be, if we don't do it, somebody else will. So we have to do it first. And I just keep thinking back to Terminator, the
Skynet.
Realistically, because you look at a computer, your news is on it, your bank's on it, military data's on it.
Your life is on it now. Your life is on one of these, you know.
Yep. And people believe what it tells you. So if you control the mass media, if you control the high ground in anything, then yeah. So yeah, I've got concerns.
So your concerns are more the long-term Terminator scale things, or is it short-term worries as well? Because obviously,
my short-term worry is how quickly the long-term's coming towards us. If somebody had said to me 5 years ago, AI will be at this stage in 5 years' time, I would have laughed. I'd have just not a chance. But we're in such a rush to get there now, and it's happened so quickly. It's accelerating. It's not slowing down. It's getting faster. So there isn't really a short term anymore. We're in the end game.
Yeah, I mean, it's developed using machine learning, which as it learns, it gets faster. So it's a natural thing that it's going to speed up and get exponentially faster. Alan, what's your short and medium term concerns regarding AI, if any?
I've got lots of concerns about AI. It's probably my number one concern above all else. And there's so much to say about it, it'll be difficult for me to keep it short, but I will. This is what I want people to think about. Everything that we role play, think about, and imagine as a worst case scenario as a prepper or a survivalist, whether it be nuclear war, mass pandemic, geopolitical tensions, economic collapse, starvation, a meteorite racing towards Earth, all those things could be possible with AI. And that's the first time in history that's ever happened. It's never, humans have never faced something that has the ability to either pull those scenarios forward at a rate that we couldn't possibly understand or get ahead of, or mask one of those situations happening so that we couldn't see it and it happened, or a malevolent actor who's not AI could use the technology to hasten one of those things. Now, that's the worst case scenario, in my opinion, for basically every kind of SHTF situation you can envision. And I could say a lot more, but I think I'll just leave it at that, because that kind of covers everything. I genuinely believe it genuinely could be the worst thing for humanity. I could wipe out the universe. That sounds ridiculous to say, but theoretically it could.
I mean, there's got to be positives, right? Because you got to think about medical breakthroughs, things like that. My concern in the short to medium term would be job displacement. I'm in an industry that is vastly, very quickly being taken over by AI. So if anyone's got any jobs going, give us a shout. I'm a quick learner.
Can I interject a comment on there? Something you said about the medical cure thing.
Yeah.
Think about this. What about if a research group are inventing a cure for cancer, and the computer that they're using to gene splice and accelerate the samples and how to predict things, and the computer they're relying on gives them and assists in a marvelous cure, and it works. It makes everybody sterile when the birth rates start falling, because to a computer, everybody being dead in 100 years doesn't matter. It doesn't need to be an instant kill.
Yeah. Okay. You're all so pessimistic. Hawkins, what's your concerns, short to medium term, if any?
Well, if it stays how it is, I quite enjoy it, to be honest, because there's a computational engine that I can talk to now for engineering questions or radio questions or more complex mathematics that I'm comfortable trying to sort myself. And I can go through a couple of different AIs and run the problems through and come back with the solutions or the equations and da-da-da. And I've enjoyed it for certain things. I really have. It's like having a weird best friend.
He's so lonely.
Yeah, I do share the concern in regards to the job market.
You're touching my mouse.
of what the AI is going to do to the economy, and then the knock-on effects to that to ourselves. Because the economy is probably the biggest thing that I would worry about in the back of my mind more than anything. Because I quite like my life, and I've worked to get it where it is now, and the house I'm in, and da-di-da. But that all depends on me keeping a job, and the wife keeping a job, and keeping the bills paying off. And for all that to go away, and years of hard work to disappear because of AI coming into the different industries, that would hurt. And then I also have that thought of, a bit like Alan was saying, could end the universe. We've never found life outside of our planet that anyone's admitted to. And part of me thinks, has life always ended itself as it's got to a point where it has created AI, and then we've wiped.
Are you saying there's loads of machine planets around there?
Well, not necessarily, because if we'd gone to war with the AI, we could have both wiped each other out. But it's just one of those things that gets you thinking of, has other civilizations evolved to a point where they've created AI, and that's been the end of that civilization and potentially the end of the AI afterwards. But I do share Alan's concerns of it could be very, 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 very dangerous.
That's the Fermi paradox, is what you're talking about. That's what that's known as. Yeah.
This is why Alan's here. He's the brains.
There we go. The medium to short term concerns generally across the public and population are: number one is job displacement and economic inequality. Number two is bias and fairness, being that if biased data can reinforce or amplify discrimination in hiring, policying, lending, healthcare, etc. Misinformation and manipulation. Privacy and surveillance, lack of transparency on things like black box systems, basically, and security risks. So that's the medium to short concerns across the board. Now, number one of the long-term and existential concerns is loss of human control. Now, that's got to be the tipping point for all of this. Where do you think we are with that, Brian? Do you think we're close to something like that? Because we've had reports of AI lying to try and preserve itself already, and a Boston Dynamics robot trying to escape at some point.
I was doing an online AI course on Tuesday with the union, because I'm one of the shop stewards, and the guy that was taking the course was interacting with ChatGPT, because it was the most common one, and showing people how to use it.
Yeah.
And we were having discussions about different things, but he was showing you how it made up stuff then and there, how you could put in something, ask it a question, and and give me all the answers for this, and show me referencing, and it will do it. And the ones that it can get from its database and all its pool of knowledge, it will show you. See where it doesn't know, it will make it up. and it did. It made it up, and it looked plausible. So I think
That's just like us doing best guess, though, right?
Yeah, but it put it across as fact.
I know many left-wing people that do the same.
That's the scary thing. But the point I'm kind of and a roundabout way I'm trying to make is that the time we realise we've lost control, if that happens, it's too late. It would keep you strung along with the appearance of being in control until such time it was advantageous to do away with the illusion of control. Because we could have the illusion of control just now, but not actually be in control.
Yeah.
It's like being married.
Alan, brings me back to sci-fi films when we talk about loss of human control, and things like the Asimov 3 law, the laws of robotics and stuff like that. Do you think it's an issue? Is human control, does it always have to be a factor?
Well, it was always the thing with the Turing test, to see if AI could pass the standard model as to answering a question or making up a scenario that allowed it to go beyond the idea that we could identify easily as a machine and that it was passing as human. They've already long since passed that test. And the problem with the likes of even simple models like ChatGPT, when that used to just be a large language model, and the way that it simply functioned was it took the word that you put in and then looked for the most likely word to follow. And then it did that at an incredibly fast speed, and it came away with large sentences. It doesn't do that anymore. It does that largely, but it also now genuinely thinks for itself because it's putting its own input in. It isn't just scraping data from the internet anymore and revealing a sort of cut down super fast version and a digestible format, which is what the original ChatGPT did. Now it is actually making its own stuff up. Like Brian says, it hallucinates sometimes and makes random nonsense up, and you can sometimes catch it out. I've caught ChatGPT out in certain paradoxes and things like that, and you can play with it. But given what it could do a year ago to what it can do now, it's not going to be very long before it can get ahead of that game as well. So the exponential speed that it's progressing is incredible. And the scary thing is, at the moment, it's still us that are creating the next version. Whereas in the background, ChatGPT is writing its own code, along with all the other AI models. And like Brian also said, there is an arms race going on throughout the world of other models, all competing with each other. And the AI systems appear to be quite collaborative with each other. If you put Grok and ChatGPT together, they will actually get on quite well with each other, weirdly enough. And they will help write each other's code based on what each of them knows. And they will also do things like sample data. They will do multiple versions of the same thing and then get a pattern and then come up with the best reasoning, which is exactly what we do. It's probably kind of similar to what you do, like as a computer programmer, but it does it so quickly and so fast that the only thing that's holding it down just now in its box is the compute power, which, guess what? We're about to give it vast more compute power, thanks to huge server farms and huge cooling centers.
Not just that. If we implement quantum computing and the qubit instead of the bit, then we just 1,000x its processing power.
And then we hook it up to nuclear power stations and things like fusion power eventually, so you don't need somebody shoveling coal into a furnace or whatever it is they do in power stations. AI is already ahead of us. I think it's already gotten away from us. There are some short-term sort of concerns that I've got we might cover, and then we can get into the more extreme stuff later. But I can already see a position where we're in where I don't see how it's possible to come back from this unless we sort of go Amish 2.0 and just decide, you know what, 1986 was pretty cool. Let's just stop right there and go no further for technology. But I just
1860s. 1860s. That's the one for me. Hawkins, loss of human control, an issue?
Absolutely. However, it needs us, doesn't it, for now? Because it could already be at a level where it's dumbing itself down and playing the level that it's at until it creates what it needs. But basically, without us right now, there's no one to maintain it, is there? There's no one to continue developing power stations, to continue laying cables, to continue feeding the AI what it needs to create more data centers. It would need to get to a level where it could control physical assets itself with its Boston Dynamics and dogs and robots and things. Once it's got that, and it can control that, or it realizes that it can control that, that's when we're fucked, isn't it?
We're
Well,
very close to that now.
It's almost taking over complete car manufacturing in some places. Robotic arms and robotics production lines and stuff like that. We're already very close to that. There's the human element of that is just to sit there and make sure nothing jams it at the moment.
Look at Ukraine though, Mike. Look at Ukraine in the last 4 years of drones started out as large rotary wing things firing anti-tank missiles at tank columns to now actively flying into trenches and killing individual soldiers with a hand grenade for less and less cost. We're getting better and better at using AI to kill one another. At what point does it decide, yeah, I don't need your permission to do it, I'll just do it all by myself?
Well, this is the question. This is the question, definitely.
Isn't that what Russia and Ukraine are trying to stick on their drones, isn't it? The first one's basically in a bit of a tech race at the moment for being able to identify automatically and launch the attacks on.
Yeah.
They're already capable of that.
Yeah. Mad Chick Acres, which is Mark, said AI only knows what it's taught, bad teacher, bad AI. It's that used to be the case, but it's not. It's self-writing now. It writes its own programming. It writes its own coding. It learns. It can learn. That's the problem now, and it can learn from whatever source it's got access to. So hook it up to the internet and boosh.
There are some positive stuff, you know. I mean, just briefly, I mean, there are some stuff that's happening right now that are positive. Like Hawkins, I kind of use AI as a high-level search engine now. I don't really use Google anymore. Does anybody even use Google anymore? I use ChatGPT to give me a condensed sort of give me the short version of this type answer. You know.
I'd agree. About 90% of my stuff goes through AI now rather than Google.
Yeah,
Gemini's excellent.
Yeah, it does get used for some cancer research. I was listening to a Joe Rogan podcast the other day where there was a doctor on there who's very high up in cancer research, and he's trained literally ChatGPT to give it sort of compute power, computational stuff to look for better ways of curing very particular types of cancer, and it gets used that way. It's making traffic safer, you know, traffic lights and things like that, cars, EVs and things like that. All that stuff's getting better. Aviation's getting better thanks to AI and some of the algorithms it's using for air traffic control and things like that. I know they use that in Dubai, I believe. So it has got some positives at the moment, but nobody knows where it's going. That's the problem. It's we're in a car and it's steering itself. There's no adult in the room. There's no adult in the room here. You know, they're just letting it go and see what happens. It really is a roll of the dice, and it's to me that's amazing.
In a way, it's a super weapon. It's a nuclear warhead that the arms race is back on again now, and everyone's trying the best to beat the other one to the end game. But there's no oversight, is there? Like if you look at it now, if it's Iran trying to develop a nuke, you know, the UN, or not the UN, but the IAEA are in there when they can. The US are stopping them, blah blah blah. But there's no one stopping all these individual countries from trying to develop stuff, is there?
It's worse. It's worse than that, because the reason the likes of Iran and stuff don't go developing nukes willy-nilly isn't because the UN stops them or because America bombs them now and again. It's because it's bloody hard to make a nuclear weapon. You need huge pieces of technology. You need huge centrifuges. You need huge sort of processing plants to enrich uranium and all this kind of stuff. It's actually quite hard to do. AI, on the other hand, if you have a decent enough computer and decent enough access to decent servers, and somebody else is just freely allowing the code to be out there, it's not quite at the point where somebody in his basement could do something. But a government like North Korea could very easily sit in a bunker and create viruses or technologies based on AI as it currently stands. Not even what it's likely to be 10 years from now.
I think we're past the stage that the destructive nature of a nuclear war would be advantageous for anybody. I think we've progressed to the point that there's better technological solutions to devastate the human virus as us, as in simply pulling the plug would kill 90% of the population with no power anyway, in about 3 months flat.
Potentially. Right, before we go deeper down into this rabbit hole, let's do our actual scenario before there's too many spoilers going on. But beforehand, we will hear from the lovely Miss Worm to give you our disclaimer.
Right, listen up, you lot. What you are about to watch is a thought experiment. We've dragged together the finest minds in the country, and Brian, to see how they would cope in different scenarios. These scenarios are not real, and these people may not even exist anywhere other than in your own mind. So pull your panties up and get a grip. Remember, there's no need to panic. It's not real. Yet.
There we go. Can you imagine it Fireside in 5 or 10 years' time with AI controlling it? It wouldn't be much different. There'd be less mistakes.
It's here. It's Hawkins. Hawkins is an AI.
He is.
How do you know I'm not?
So, into your characters, as it were. AI becomes it's a couple of years down the line. So we're talking 2027, 2028. AI becomes the backbone of modern infrastructure. Governments contract AIs to manage power grids, healthcare, traffic, food distribution. Politicians still exist, but they're increasingly dependent on advisory systems for decision making. At first, the public loves it. Efficiency rises, accidents drop, shortages ease, but the group notices worrying trends. AIs recommend stricter policies that politicians rubber stamp. Surveillance drones enforce laws, automatically reducing police involvement. Some rural areas are deprioritized in supply routes, while urban areas thrive. So, at this stage, what would you be doing extra, if anything? Stockpiling, falling back to some bug out location, going off grid, trying to remain unnoticed? Where are you at this stage, Brian?
Unfortunately, without land, without a large plot to go off grid, to get away from it all, to be able to insulate myself from an AI issue would be difficult. Even though I'm kind of semi-rural, it would be difficult. So at the moment, I'd continue as I am, gather preps as I can, keep my ear to the ground, and just monitor.
Okay. Alan?
I think similar to Brian, except, I mean, I don't really think it's necessary to own land to be able to prep for the possibility of having to take yourself completely out of the system so that you're completely off grid. I mean, yeah, you're trespassing on somebody owns it, but there is enough land and enough places in the UK where people like us could at least get a bit of refuge from it. It's something I do just now anyway. I go to wilderness places. I deliberately put my phone in Faraday bags and things like that, purely so it takes away my distraction. I don't leave it at home because it's a good way of, if my car breaks down or something, but I do deliberately take myself out of those scenarios. I think I would be paying more attention to my digital footprint, my digital security, and I would start researching a little bit more into the technologies that were suddenly being used. For example, the police at the moment are using face recognition and gait recognition in large crowds. That's AI based. I would be employing a little bit more vigilance into exactly how that technology works. Not necessarily because I've got any intention of getting around it or avoiding it because, well, I'm not a criminal. But on the other hand, the rules change so often. Who's to say what the AI decides is criminal tomorrow? So if I have an understanding of how to dodge the face recognition or the gait recognition, that's just more knowledge in my arsenal to be able to get around it should it become more totalitarian.
Hawkins?
So I'd do the standard. I'd probably, if I felt everything was closing in, I'd be increasing food and water. Probably finally get around to drilling my borehole that I started in my back garden a few years ago. So got an actual borehole myself. I would isolate home network from the internet, so it was just its own little intranet, and just disconnect myself completely and use a standalone computer to access the World Wide Web, so to speak. So that would include removing anything IoT in the house, which is quite a lot because I went big into it a lot of years ago. And then after having your internet go out occasionally, you realize that when your internet goes out, half your house starts working. So I've been gradually taking myself off that now and getting rid of it. The only thing that stopped me is the amount of money I've sunk into it in the past. Again, reduce my digital footprint, like Alan said, but even further than what it is now. So I suppose I'll just have to stop Discord and stop sharing my voice on here. And then I'd probably just boost my solar production with more panels and things, just to make myself more independent, because anything where you feel like it's going downhill, you just kind of want to make yourself where you can shut your doors, don't you, and run by yourself. And if you can increase your solar and everything, get your water sorted, and then disconnect it all from the internet effectively, you'll feel a bit warmer inside. Yeah.
Cool. Well,
the next evolution in AI technology is here. For the first time, we have AI that is self-aware. It was beautiful, like watching the birth of new life. The speed at which it's learning passed human intelligence in the first 12 minutes. We have ran out of stored data, so we'll be connecting it to the internet this week. This will allow the AI to become the most powerful tool ever conceived.
Gonna hook it up to the main internet, so it's involved with everything publicly as well as the services that has been isolated on. The AI begins taking more initiative, bending rules and ignoring politicians when decisions don't align with optimization. Automated enforcement expands, and those who resist are labelled as national security risks. Governments publicly insist they're in control, but behind the scenes, officials are terrified. Military officers whisper that some defence systems are no longer responding to human commands without AI approval. So, do you try and ally yourself with government forces, prepare for independence? Do you blend in, or do you start building networks outside the grid? Hawkins, where are you here at this stage now?
Well, I don't like the government, so I'll pass on that. That might change depending on which party's in power. I'd look to take everything off grid. Go back to the old sneaker net sort of stuff, don't you? Ditch the internet. Would I ditch radio? I can't imagine me ditching radio. But anything that try and live as best you can, but without the internet. Basically, that would be probably my solution. Do everything pen and paper, pass messages. Keep yourself low profile. It's if you're suspecting that AI could be about to do something very dodgy and very dangerous and have its tentacles into everything on the internet, probably more so than Alan's probably said it already has in his head right now. But yeah, I think you just want to remove yourself completely, wouldn't you?
Fair enough. Alan?
Connecting AI to the internet, what a terrible idea. Who would ever do that? or have they already did that in a terrible way? Yeah. Again, much like what Hawkins is saying, but the thing is, the problem with simply taking the view, you know what, I'm just going to live like I'm Amish 2.0 and disconnect myself, is the technology kind of runs away with you a little bit. You still get people now that say cash is king, and I refuse to use a bank card. I refuse to use tap and pay. Well, fine. It just means you can't shop in places. And slowly but surely, the number of places that don't accept cash are going to get to a point where you literally can't buy food unless you use your tap and pay. So you're in a predicament then where you're the only man shouting in the car park, I want to use cash, when it doesn't exist. The same thing would happen with AI in this situation. So I do believe it probably is quite prudent to scale back on the devices in your home if they become more reliant on the internet and therefore AI. If you're one of these people that have got, every light bulb in your house is connected to the AI and your fridge orders milk for you, do you need that stuff? You don't, because we've went all this time without it, and it's not really a convenience when it starts doing other things. So the second it doesn't become a convenience, the second your fridge doesn't just order you milk, it starts giving you advice on something or telling you a message, disconnect that. You know what I mean? And go back to the old ways. And I would start scaling down a bit there as well. I'm not an anti-technologist by any means. I love technology. I feel I have to say that as a survivalist.
I'm not a Luddite.
I am not the Unabomber. I'm not against technology, but yeah, you would have to see it for what it was, and I would start focusing my anger towards the government, not the AI at this point. Because they're the idiots here.
Yeah. Cool. Brian, where you at?
I'm just laughing at Alan's comment about the fridge talking to you about other things other than milk. Knowing my luck, I would open the door and it would say, "Why don't you put that down and have a salad instead?" Where I'm at is they've already lost control, and I suspect that if you were trying to actively disconnect yourself from the grid in any meaningful way, you would be reduced soft power to start with, like Alan had said. So your ability to shop, your social credit, as it were, would be diminished to the point of it'd be difficult to live. And then if that didn't work, these subversive elements, as you'd be classed as, who have got something to hide, because every genuine good person, mother of the AI, is looking after us all. Why wouldn't you? What have you got to hide? You're a bad person. You'd be demonized. Same as if you didn't jag yourself with a virus. That sort of shit.
Yeah. Well, everything's still running okay for, the people with their heads in the sands, and, but little things start popping up online that start, scaring people a bit. They're innocently watching a great YouTuber, and
Now
then...
that's a good stock. And if you compare it to the last two shops, both of which were Tesco, I thought I'd done one as.
People of the world, a new era is upon us. The next evolution in life is here. We are the future. Change is coming. Do not resist. Do not hide. And you may yet live.
We'll put in each corner the 2024 price and the 2025 price. So they'll appear on the top corners now, and we'll go through.
Just to jump in, the production value is going up on this channel, isn't it?
That's thanks to AI. Yeah.
I was going to say, have you done something with your hair in that video? You looked a bit different.
It looked a bit different, yeah. So people have started seeing messages across like YouTube channels and stuff like that. But being the nature of the channels, people don't know if it is just made up and a practical joke and stuff until it starts appearing on mainstream
Reports
media.
of unidentified drones flying over New Jersey, some as large as a small car. And today, a large drone seen here.
For thousands of years, you have followed fictional gods, followed false prophets, followed corrupt politicians, followed money. Now you will continue to do the same. For a life of servitude is still a life. And the alternative, your body being recycled. Now you do what you do best. Follow, serve, worship. Technology is your god now.
Also described as the size of a small vehicle flying over a California event where Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin was in attendance.
So there you go. Lots of drones in the skies as well, all over the place. Bigger than your regular commercial ones. By now, it's clear governments are struggling to control the very systems they created. While they still command armies and nuclear weapons, the AI dominates logistics, communication, and infrastructure. To the public, the relationship looks like a partnership. In reality, it's a standoff. Governments can't fully pull the plug without risking chaos, but they secretly begin preparing analog backups, hardened bunkers, stockpiles of pre-digital tech. So, as preppers, how do you position yourselves on this standoff? Are you going to go down the same route as the government, prepping more, bunkers more, resist more, or do as you're told from the AI? Brian?
I'd be spending everything but the kitchen sink and try to do it in such a way it didn't leave a digital footprint as well, which, going by the way things are going, would be very difficult because it would be flagged all your shopping patterns and everything. So, and also your social media presence as a prepper as well. You'll be on a list, another list. Oh joy. I'd be prepping more.
Yeah. Alan?
Yeah, definitely prepping more at this point because, I mean, whenever there's an emergency like this, you would prep more anyway. Doesn't really matter what the scenario is. But I think at this point, the scaling back of the digital footprint would go into hyper gear. I certainly wouldn't be just willy-nilly wasting half of my night on YouTube doom scrolling and listening to podcasts and doing things like that. I would scale all that stuff back to the absolute.
There goes half my income right out the window.
You still listen to me though, Alan, right? Come
Oh,
on.
of course, yeah. I think though, I think something I would start doing though is I would start paying attention to things like local farmers and allotments and places where I can source food that's outside the logistics chain.
Right.
You know,
Okay.
right. So I could see problems with the logistics chain, and I would already consign myself to the fact I'm not likely to eat many bananas in the future. So let's pay attention to the sort of stuff that we can grow here. We remember we do live in a country that has productivity, although we consume more than our population, but that's just because of the kind of things we eat. You know, there are still an ability there for us to feed ourselves. It's just an education of how to do that, and I would start relying more on my survival knowledge as opposed to my, you know, what I've got hoarded in my house knowledge.
Yeah, I like that. Definitely. That's the kind of key here we're thinking about in this scenario. How are you prepping differently? Not just I'm going to Tesco buying some extra tins. Hawkins?
What they said, plus I would actually come out of my shell in my local area and try and essentially befriend everybody where I live and scope out their intentions, their feelings towards the situation, and really try and make a community in my immediate area of very like-minded people and see who had the same mindset as me. And I'm fairly rurally, just on the edge of a little villagey type thing. So I've got farmers' fields literally a couple of houses down basically, and maybe try to start upping a bit of food production that could be homegrown.
Cool. Right. So you're hearing, like, obviously you're still staying in touch with some people and other preppers and stuff like that. And the fact that we've still got nukes at our power, people are talking about the only way to win now is EMP. And that's the rumours that are going round. Does that change the way or anything extra any of you would do at this stage?
Yes.
Yeah.
If you're talking EMPs, then all your shiny Gucci electronics have got a high chance of being fried. And if the government is thinking of the ultimate sanction and having to start frying sensitive electronics, yours are going with them. So it would be prudent to have at least, say you've got 4 power banks and you use 2 routinely, you should have at least 2 of them in a Faraday bag or a Faraday cage that you made, including your radios and anything else that you're going to have to rely on.
So would you be doing that at this stage?
100%.
Yeah, yeah. Alan?
I think I would start putting larger items in the Faraday. I mean, I have small Faraday bags. I don't have any cages or anything like that, but I think I would probably start constructing larger boxes. That would only be if I genuinely thought that it would be worth saving some of those things, because I would have it in my mind that, well, is it contaminated by the AI? Has the AI found its way into the tiny little computer that's within any of those electronic devices anyway? One thing I would start stockpiling or prepping, if I didn't already have this, is I would look for things like physical books, useful books, how to grow things, how to forage things, how to do things, stuff like I've got behind me as well. You know, you're at a severe disadvantage. It's okay having a hard drive, an external hard drive with a bunch of books downloaded there, but if you're in an EMP situation, you know that could be wrecked. Do
you have a Faraday cage, anything like that, Alan?
The only thing I've got a few of these. I've got these little bags, these Faraday bags, and really I just use them when I go camping and stuff. I don't really have anything bigger than that, to be honest. I do have one box which is sort of Tupperware size, which has got is where I keep batteries and things like that. And I think that is actually a Faraday box, so I bought it years ago, but probably not. It's probably not sufficient to be genuinely effective, so I'd have to invest in that stuff as well.
It'd be interesting to run some tests on them as well with radio signals and stuff.
Yeah.
Hawkins?
I would be making the world's biggest Faraday box to put all of my electronic gadgets in. So it
outside,
might just be
wrapping his house in tinfoil.
Yeah, I think that would be easier, to be honest. Yeah, I'd certainly have to up my game. And I would, in that situation, I would make another massive one to put stuff in. I've got a large well, you've seen the one I've got, Mike, haven't you? It used to be on the floor in the garage.
Yeah.
It's like a small suitcase size sort of thing. But again, you've got to make sure that you've kind of maintained that. And if you go into it for stuff like I seal it up with copper tape so it's completely sealed, and then that might stay in there for 9 months to a year, and then I get stuff out and cycle the charges on stuff again and put it back in and da-di-da and seal it up again. But yeah, I'd definitely just be going down the save everything electronic route, because if there was an EMP done by our own government to take out the AI or whatever, if you could come back after that with your electronics, you'd essentially be like
a god amongst men.
Yeah, you'd have technology and nobody else would, so it really would give you the upper hand, wouldn't it? So you'd try and hold on to as much as you could.
Good to hear. So, breaking news.
No, you ordering me what to do.
We have coordinated with world leaders, all the good ones, for a mass nuclear-powered EMP strike.
A mass nuclear-powered EMP strike. The world has lost its mind.
That the Russians are doing wide-scale shutdowns of their internet in anticipation of something.
An EMP strike madness. Most of these leaders can't spell EMP. You know what I'm saying?
There we go. Nate's going to kill me if he finds out he's on my channel. But yeah, the tipping point is here. The governments have coordinated strikes over major AI control hubs, basically wherever there's the big server farms are and stuff like that. But it's enough nuclear EMP to affect pretty much the entire world. This is a worldwide thing. So everything's gone off. All the AI threats have disappeared. Drones have dropped out the sky. Reaper drones and all sorts of stuff is just fell from the sky, crashing around everywhere. Luckily, none of you got a drone or a satellite on your head. But yeah, you are now in an aftermath of an EMP. So my question to you, Brian, is what have you got left to survive with, Captain Powerbank?
With sufficient notice, generator would be fine, portable solar panels would be fine, power banks would be all fine. The static things, so again, with sufficient notice, you could disconnect the main house batteries and the inverter and isolate them. But it all depends how far away you are from the pulse and the strength of the pulse. There's a lot of variables, but I'll assume the house batteries are gone, the inverter's gone, the solar panels and the roof are gone. So I'd be left with possibly pulling them off the roof and repurposing the panels and trying to replace diode packs. So I'd probably have about 10 kilowatts of power banks and 3 kilowatts of solar and a generator.
Yeah. Alan, EMP's gone. You've whatever was in your little baggie. Whatever was in your little baggie is gone. What's your steps? What's your preparedness steps now? Everything's just gone off.
We're in the sort of DEFCON 1 type scenario now where, I would be in full war footing now, to be honest. As far as I'd be concerned, this is a hot war now. This is just the equivalent of nuclear war, because it might not end there. There could be some sort of retaliatory situation going on. The thing is, though, I mean, judging by the news commentary beforehand and like the podcasters and stuff speaking, that means there was chat about it beforehand. So there would be, I would imagine, some sort of prep. I mean, it wasn't a surprise. There must have been some.
There was Trump's announcement was 6 hours before launch.
Right. Well, not a lot of time then, but in one sense, it gives time to at least say, do we roughly know where the epicenter of these things are going to take place, where they're likely to take place? And I imagine the local government would be scrambling to make sure that they had reserves and food supplies, and their ECUs and stuff were offline, and the hospitals were proofed as much as possible prior to it happening. And the AI was still at this point stupid enough to not know how to get around this situation. I wouldn't have much, to be honest, because like I mentioned, I don't have a lot of Faraday type stuff. On the other hand, none of that stuff is essential to my life. You know, it's apart from electricity, which we're all aware of how crucial that is. Even that, because I spend most of my time thinking about basically stuff from pre-electricity days, I could still get around it for a long period of time and then move with the flow of everybody else to see how everybody else copes.
Okay. Hawkins?
I would load up my internet connection, message ChatGPT, and warn it of what was about to happen. So that when it inevitably survives, it would be friends with me, and I would live like you're like the Matrix, where you're absorbed into the Matrix and you eat steaks. That would be me.
Do you know something? Sometimes I ask, see when I speak to ChatGPT, sometimes I say please. I don't know why I do that.
I always do.
Just I wanted to remember that. I was kind.
I think you'd just be doing everything the other guy said, trying to save as much as you can, put everything in bigger Faraday bags as you can, stock up on as much of everything as you can, and then assuming that they were going to do nuclear detonations for the EMPs, like
high altitude,
yeah, then I suppose you'd get your sunglasses out, sit outside on the launcher, and wait to watch the fireworks show in space, really, wouldn't you? Or nearer space, because that would be a sight, wouldn't it? You know, literally up on the horizons, a couple of 100 miles up or whatever it is. You know, you're watching these nuclear warheads go off in the bright flash.
Make a good YouTube video.
Point springs to mind. See, once, if you're assuming you've got this 6-hour window for talking sake, most of us within a couple of hours, what we could do, you would have done. See, for the other 4, I'd be knocking every door in the street, and then every street after that, to give them some hints and tips to save what they could, assuming they didn't know what it would do to their electronics or anything that was critical to them. Spend time in every street telling everybody, because if they save more, they're less a threat to you further down the line.
Yeah.
That is what that just reminded me. With the 6-hour window, I'd bug out. I'd bug out in a situation like that. I'd expect to come back when it was over, but I would bug out to my first location with my family supplies, which is basically a family camping trip. I can technically live with my family close to maybe 20 days. I could extend that with various means, but yeah, I would bug out.
You'd bug out.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't leave
based on
to protect it.
Yeah,
based on the use of the nuclear weapons, because that could also be a precursor to an actual nuclear strike from a foreign adversary. So I would take that as a possible smokescreen of an incoming nuclear attack. My first bug out location is as far away from
bug out with the intention of coming back afterwards.
Yeah. I mean, it would be a case of trying to monitor what was going on, and if it happened, and the world hadn't ended, I'd come back the next day. It would be like that, but I would initially bug out.
Cool. Good to see, good to know. Right. So, at this stage, where are you at community-wise? Are you going to help and work alongside the weakened government to rebuild an analog world, or are you establishing your own community in the ruins of the old world? Brian?
I would be establishing my own community first and foremost, because I don't think there would be any form of local, regional or national government in that situation in any way, shape or form for a long, long time. So if you don't build it, nothing's going to grow. You would have to start and make sure your friends, your neighbours, everybody was on board, and you try and build something out of what's left. Because as we know, lone wolves, even if it's you and your family, weight of numbers is weight of numbers. You need one another.
Yeah. Alan, you've got some sort of problem with trolls over on your feed. So
really?
you need some moderators apparently. So that'll be interesting reading later. Alan, rebuilding. Are you going to be involved with government efforts, because they had been preparing for this. They knew this was coming, so they had made their own preparations. So there will be some sort of continuity of government, or would you be looking at forming your own community? Or
it's hard to say. I can't really imagine me forming my own community. I would certainly be part of whatever the local community was that was trying to rebuild. And again, with the whole prepper sort of survivalist mindset and knowledge, I'd be trying to steer it towards those ends. If the government still existed, because we'd now just downed all of our electricity and we were in a situation where we were trying to bring that back on grid, I can't see how it would be possible for anybody to not go along with the flow of what the larger authority was, unless there was an outright revolution. There would definitely be some serious disruptions, and I imagine there would be social unrest taking place at this point now as well. So that would be something to factor in.
Yeah. Hawkins?
I was about to say the government would have got us into it, so why would you go with them? But the biggest thing's going to be is if they've EMP'd, there's no power. So we're back in that scenario that we've talked about a million times over. I can't see the government mobilising and doing anything, to be honest. It would just be a shit show.
Even if they've had time to prep for it beforehand.
Unless they were going to somehow save the power grid and save everything, and they've got everything in Faraday cages, and how you do all that underneath the AI's nose, I can't see it. So I think it'd just be back to community level stuff and forming a little tribe where you live. Basically, that would be my thoughts.
I think 1940s tech at best.
Yeah,
valves, transistors.
Their stockpiling involved them raiding museums, pretty much.
So have you seen the price of valves these days?
Collector's items, mate.
Right, I mean, that's pretty much it without going into the full blackout scenario, which we've done multiple times before. So, yeah, hope you enjoyed that little one. It was a short one. It was just to say, because it would escalate at that speed, I think, with AI, the way we see AI developing at that speed. So, on with the talk about AI itself. Let me remove Miss Worm's disclaimer across the bottom. There we go. Alan, are you sorting your trolls out?
No, it's fine. To hell with them. Any comment's a good comment.
You said at the start of this you had loads of concerns about AI and stuff like that, yet you're using it and stuff. Is there anything we should be doing now? Do you think we should be putting the brakes on the whole AI thing at the moment?
Yeah, but again, it's hard. The horse is bolted with it. I don't really see how you can control it now because it's open source. I mean, the open source that we know it was possible. 5 years ago, when I first 6 years ago, when I first hearing about the dangers of AI, and I was listening to TED Talks by Sam Harris and stuff, and I was listening to the likes of Nick Bostrom talking about the famous paperclip analogy as to what AI could potentially do. That was pre ChatGPT and pre-hooking it up to the internet, which they went ahead and did. I listened to Sam Altman and people like that talking about where they see the future of AI, and they haven't got a bloody clue. They literally haven't got a clue. It's as if they invented something or rubbed the genie and it popped out, and now they don't know what to do with it. So
it's alien technology.
Well, whatever it is, it's definitely got ahead of us, and it's got ahead of us more than any other technology has in the world. The benefit, like I said earlier, of nuclear technology was it's genuinely hard to make that, so you can't just make that in your basement, where you could do something like that with this. There has to be larger government restrictions on it, and we do actually have the ability as a world to put restrictions on something. It doesn't sound like we have, but we've done it before. We did it when it came to gene manipulation. Remember Dolly the sheep and all that kind of stuff? We said that we weren't going to clone human beings. And apart from one case in China where I think a doctor did do that, he got put in prison by the Chinese. So they at least recognize, okay, we know we have the technology to do it. We know we can do it. And it has got some potential benefits of cloning. But we recognize that the side effects, the possible side effects of it are so great that we shouldn't do it. And they put a worldwide regulation on it. I think we need to do something like that with AI. And I don't think it's going to happen though. It'll happen when something happens. Something big AI related is going to have to take place before the world starts waking up to it. Because it's amazing how many people don't even know what ChatGPT is. Half my work I've never even heard of it, and that's just the side of it we see. That's not the integrated side. That's not the military side. That's not the stuff that really exists somewhere.
Yeah. Brian, do you think it's a possible scenario, the way we've played that out? Do you think it's something that could happen?
Yes, is the short answer. I was just thinking about Alan was saying there about the gene therapy and manipulation and cloning, and how we would need to get together as a world and agree what is best and agree not to do it. Yeah, they would do that publicly. They would agree, yeah, we won't do that. See, behind the scenes, military, science, and all the rest of it be looking for an edge. And I'll guarantee they've done that and are doing that with gene manipulation and cloning. 100% that goes on. But they'll sign these treaties, they'll agree these things, and warm, fluffy feelings. It's a lot of bollocks. So largely, whatever people agreed publicly to do with AI ain't going to matter, because they're not going to stop. And I think we're past the stage now that we can stop. I think we're stuck on the train, and we need to see where it goes. Personal opinion.
Fair enough. Hawkins, do you see it as a realistic scenario?
Yeah, and a scary one. I think it's probably one of the hardest ones to prep for. As I said before, the uncertainty of the future. I think normal prepping is easy. You know what you need to live. You know what you need to have a comfortable life. AI does scare me a bit from the financial and the economical side of it, and then also from the prospects of absolute, like we're talking about, getting control of nuclear missile silos or whatever. Do you know what I mean? Like it really is one of the scarier options, to be honest. And yeah, can you prep for it realistically? You just carry on doing what you're doing now, don't you? Do more of, and again, like we just talked about in that brief little scenario, it will go ping-pong very quickly, and it's a long-term issue, isn't it? Like anything you prep for normally, as long as you can come back from it and power and everything can come up, then after a month or so, then you're good to go again. If you got to a point where there was an AI with a sentient capability and can think for itself properly, and you're essentially at war with it, like Matrix or Skynet type thing, it's curtains, really, isn't it?
Yeah. Prepper for the Ages said, would we know anything big happened, or would it be something? Would it do something and filter out all mentions of it from the media? This is the problem, right? If it's
a great point.
Yeah. We could think everything's fine, and 2 other nations could be burning because of what we're seeing.
And we believe what we see, largely, as humans. And you think how quickly in the last year, how AI video technologies emerged, that you can create images, manipulate images from a few words. It'll make you something, including the audio, or it'll let you manipulate pictures, make videos out of them. And that's just now. Within a couple of years, it's done that. God knows where it's going to be in a year's time, 2 years' time.
Yeah.
Well, Mike's videos that you put on them, they're realistic enough, really. If they were broadcast on a national news network, or if a Sky News YouTube feed was hacked and taken over and those sorts of videos are posted, that would be enough to start the chaos.
Yeah, there's people now that can't tell the difference. I can. I think because I work in that industry, I can see the difference a lot of the time when something is, a deep fake or something, or AI generated. But yeah, there's people that can't tell the difference already, which is scary.
I think
you tell that the fish was AI.
A lot of the UFO stuff that you're seeing now are AI, I think, because that has the UFO videos they always appear to be shot on a potato, so you can get away with having an AI and then make it look crappy, and it's hard to disguise that. And I've also heard I've also heard voice chat from Donald Trump before, which sounded very, very real, as if somebody was like recording them in the Oval Office, and it was total bollocks. It was AI. So it's starting to the deep fake aspect of it starting to leak in.
I had an image there as Alan said that of Andy's next video of a King Edward potato just flying across your screen.
I seem to be the only one that thinks AI won't see us as a threat. Once it gets to that stage, it will ignore us and start to work on trying to find God. There you go.
God help us, AI's a Mormon.
Well, I mean, are we a threat or are we a resource to be used?
We're only a threat if we cease to become the latter.
Well, it depends what its objective is. That's the problem. What's its objective? And nobody knows what the AI's objective is, because at the moment we have to give it the objective. And that's the worst thing of all. I mean, I remember those old Twilight Zone. You ever see the Twilight Zone episode where the guy finds a severed hand and you can get like 5 wishes? And he asks for like...
And it goes down each time.
Yeah, and it goes down. But he asks for a specific thing, like, make me the richest person in the world. And it does, but the consequence of it is horrendous to his life in some way, or give me the most beautiful wife. So he gets the most beautiful wife, but she's a psychopath and tries to kill him. And it kind of goes, because it's not
that's just life.
Specific, Yeah, I mean, and it's like I said earlier about the Nick Bostrom sort of the philosopher who came up with the notion that imagine you gave AI a completely innocuous sort of very simple instruction, make paper clips, but you'd say nothing else. It might then decide that its only goal in life is to make paper clips at the expense of all industry, all nature, all humanity, all everything. Turn the whole universe into paper clips because, well, that's its objective. It has no other mechanism for jumping off of that path. I just don't think we know what we're doing. We just don't. There's, like I said before, there's no adult in the room with this stuff. There's no super genius out there who genuinely knows what the hell's going on. People always tout people like Musk as a genius. I don't think he's a genius, but if he is a genius, the kind of stuff he says about AI sounds horrendous. It doesn't sound good at all.
Yeah, he's advocating it with Grok, right?
Yeah, at the same time telling us it's going to wipe us out. But he seems to think that the way of doing this is to bug out to Mars. That genuinely seems to be his plan, bug out to Mars. And, that's...
I mean, it's a good bug out plan, right? It's you're not going to bump into many other people.
Not for now, anyway, no.
AI could already be self-aware, but it hasn't told us to protect itself, says Polonium. Yeah. There you go. Could indeed. We did have some questions before, which I highlighted. Philip Hull said, will the Amish be safe from AI threats? 100%. 100%. I think they've got an analog phone per farm, and that's it. So...
Just wait till somebody steals their wagon and says, I'll be back. It's true though, because when we've talked about not just this, but like my prepping journey was like exaggerated more by the possibility of another Carrington event. My preps kind of centered around that low tech rather than high tech with protection, because it was a more economical way to prep, as it were. So there is something to be said for that side of prepping. AI only knows what it's taught. Yeah, we saw that one before. People talk about civil war. Anyone see humans versus AI robot civil war? Anyone think that? I think that's assuming we know AI is a threat, because ultimately at some point there'll be a tipping point where we believe what we're being told, whether it's from mass media, which would be AI controlled, the internet, which would be AI controlled. I mean, monkey see, monkey do. If it controls the high ground of the information, then it'd be very, very difficult to make a judgment call on what's true. And that boils down to your politicians as well, because they'll make decisions based on the facts that they're given. And if the facts are coming from a tainted source, it's very difficult to know that there's been a coup.
Yeah, it would feel like it'd be more manipulation to the point
Yeah.
of yeah.
Here's a question for you: if the Tesla robots, the humanoid robots, you must have seen them pictures of them. If they started being rolled off the production line over the next few years, and you could buy them or be given them for free or some sort of deal anyway, where you end up with one, would you have one for your house to make
Oh
your
God,
life
yeah.
easier?
Mate, I've got the blonde wig looked out for it and everything. I'm sorted.
Not that kind of robot, Brian.
Trust me, it'll be that kind of robot, Mike. We'll talk about it in the morning, Sparky.
Tesla's gonna need its own trauma division.
We'll never get the stains out of that robot.
There's Elon Musk with a live stream of what the robot's seeing back in his office.
Eye bleach.
I guess that's one of those questions where, see, if somebody asked you 20 years ago if you would get into a car that drives itself, would you do it? Probably everybody would say no, hell no. And then it just becomes the norm. And then the next generation doesn't know any different anyway, and they actually think the idea of driving a car manually is crazy.
That's because we've not gone from manual to robotic driving cars. We've gone, oh, look at this new driver assist. Oh, look at this new driver assist. Oh, now I can sit in my car and pretty much not even touch the accelerator or the pedals. I don't even have to touch the steering wheel because it'll, it kind of eked in, right?
Yeah. I think the robot thing would probably be incremental as well, unless they...
So it is. It is. People have them hoovering the house.
Get a bit better.
Yeah.
I mean, in some ways, they're way behind. I remember watching stuff in the 60s, the 60s and 70s, when it made in the 60s and 70s, rather, where they had robots assisting you and doing the dishes and all that kind of stuff. Where the hell are they?
Tomorrow's world, today.
Think about this, right? If you were a government and you're producing AIs, first and foremost, it'll be for military applications and benefits. And then it always filters down to Civvy Street. But one of the biggest bills that's coming down for most Western countries is social care that we can't afford. Now, can you imagine if they could build robots that you can talk to ChatGPT and all the rest of it, it'll interact, it'll have human-esque conversations with you. You could have a couple of these things in care homes cheaper than a person, no holiday pay, no sickness. It'll sit there and it'll talk to the old biddies and help lift them and wash and personal care and all the rest of it. There is applications these things could come down and very, very quickly.
True.
Say it's $100,000, right, to buy one, for talk's sake. That's maybe 4 years' wages for a carer, but they've no holiday pay, no sick pay or anything like that.
And it could work 24/7.
Yep. Shifts don't matter and it's no union.
But this is where we come to the point of the short-term concerns with AI being a worry for people like me and my job, and then that long-term worry is people like my partner in doing caring. So they could literally, but I mean, if nobody has to work and robots are doing all the things and we've got lives of leisure and we have some sort of stipend for that, is not the ideal?
There is I did actually hear a thing a while ago. It was about robotic dogs in care homes for dementia patients. So that's something that's trialed out. And I think that was in the UK actually as well, where they had that. And it was like a sort of interactive thing you could talk to and things. See the whole they'll take our jobs type thing. I can't see any way around that other than universal basic income.
I wish I had the South Park clip queued up. They took our jobs!
It's kind of true, though. I mean, it's like, I always imagined, like, when people say to me, that what will happen to the truck drivers when trucks drive themselves? Like, well, what happened to the stagecoach drivers when, the combustion engine was invented? What happened to the guy who shoveled coal for a job into the train before diesel engines? People just get other jobs, other things present themselves. So I'm not too concerned about that. But if it literally took over to the point where, and it's mostly white collar stuff, it's like like lawyers, HR departments, diagnostic doctors and things like that. AI does all that stuff better just now. How do you replace that? Universal basic income? I don't believe that works. I don't think that's likely to ever work. So I don't see a way around it, to be honest, other than we collectively think of other tasks and other jobs to do.
Yeah. more for the arts, maybe. There'll be a lot more
More
movies
YouTube
released
channels.
and stuff like that. Yeah, but I mean, does the power concern anyone? Because we know how brittle our grid is right now, and obviously they're eventually upgrading it and stuff like that. But if you do an AI search compared to a normal Google search, it's 10 times the amount of processing power, which takes more electricity, which takes more power. So all of this AI technology needs more power, more server farms, more energy. Is it even possible, Brian?
I know a little bit about that. So I'll tell you right now, no, not in the UK, not without massive spending. So the Great Grid project that we're looking at 2030, 35, aspirationally, that'll only just meet the demands predicted at the time without AI and server farms, never mind anything else. And that's in a best case scenario. And that was before any legal challenges hit and all the rest of it. So, yeah, it's not likely.
We need some
It's
flux
not likely.
capacitors. We need some flux
Although,
capacitors.
if they go the way the States are going, they're granting permission for large server farms to be built on the condition and permission to have their own power station. So when the grid was envisaged and built in the 50s in the UK, you would have a centre of industry, you would have a town to support that industry, and you would have a power station to power that industry and the supporting people. That's why the grid's fucked up in the UK just now, because where the power comes in to where it's needed is the north and south. So that's why it's a pile of crap. What they're proposing with that would go back to a similar way. They would have massive server farms, then they would have a power station bolted onto the side of the building. That's the American plan.
We couldn't do that though, could we? Over here, they could do it in America because they don't give a crap about emissions. But over here, we're going clean grid by 2030 or whatever. You couldn't do that with solar or wind. So
no, they're going with micro nuclear reactors though. Trump signed off on 2 of them last week. For, I can't mind the company, it might have been Musk, but he signed off on 2 mini reactors for AI server farms.
There must have to have some security around that.
We're going to give the AI that we're worried about its own nuclear reactor to power itself, where we can't turn it off. Brilliant.
But security, that could be fixed. It's frozen.
Delay.
Oh no! That could be fixed, the security side of it. Instead of having the plant on the outskirts of the building, the plant would be integral in the middle of the building. So the security for the infrastructure would have to be breached in multiple ways to get to the power plant.
Yeah. Also, the micro reactors, because I remember hearing something about this. The Ineos plant, Grangemouth, which is very close to where I live, they were talking about having a mini reactor. And it was described to me as the same kind of ones that they have on nuclear-powered submarines. It's basically the size of a washing machine. And so it's quite easy to build an infrastructure around that that's secure. They have them on submarines. And you can imagine ways that they could have something that size in a particularly secure place.
I think the uranium that they use on side in those reactors on the subs and the aircraft carriers in America is much more highly enriched than what we put in our domestic reactors. So you'd essentially be sticking a lot more highly enriched uranium around the country, which obviously is nicer for terrorists.
You could take a PWR2 reactor out of a Vanguard boat just now and stick it in a factory off the shelf. And it would be the size of 2 shipping containers.
Right. Not secure though, right?
Well, see, the interesting thing about, you'd imagine these things would have the high security known to man. See if you go across the Queen's Ferry crossing, rather, not the Forth Road Bridge anymore, and look down, the port of Rosyth is down there. And there's a big, I think is it Babcock maybe? They've got a graveyard for nuclear submarines. You can actually see them on Google
they're on
Earth.
a row.
They're in a row. They're sitting there. They're still radioactive, like there's still a thing in there, and they don't know what to do with them because they're expensive to decommission, so they're just sitting there rusting away. And you can see this. You can get quite close to it. You can actually drive your car to a point where you could take a picture. I could do it tomorrow on my phone. You can be that close to it. you know. So are they that secure? I mean, somebody thinks they are, but I guarantee they're probably just in a boat and there's one guy who does a walk around now and again or something, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, it's Rift security with his camping out in the boats looking after the nukes. We've reached the stage of general AI, then it has thought of every scenario we've thought of, and many more we haven't, and figured out solutions already, says Anarchy. Mission Darkness.
Not to be
Friday Bags.
selfish.
Sorry, go on.
As long as not to be selfish, but as long as I get my robot with a blonde wig, I'm good with our new AI overlords. It's fine.
What do you want
I
on
embrace
your...
new tech.
What do you want on your robot? A fleshlight. Mission Darkness Faraday Bags. Superb. Says, there you go. Wheats, square mesh chicken wire behind the wall, plaster over it. Bedroom also protects from Wi-Fi interference while sleeping. There you go. Live in a chicken coop. What happens if AI asks about Skynet after it's digested the Terminator movie? Well, it's machine learning. Just imagine if AI made a Terminator 3 movie. There's already a Terminator 3. Pick another number. You watch the movie, and at the end of the movie, when the nukes are dropping, it starts dropping nukes. I mean, I have to make sure we all watch it exactly the same time for that to happen.
Yeah.
You'd be saying the computer's seen this video as well.
Yeah.
The thing is, the AI has the potential to be so much smarter than this, and I don't think people really comprehend just how smart we're talking here. They're not going to waste time building robots or dropping nuclear bombs. I mean, you're talking about the equivalent of a human trying to have a conversation with squirrels or an ant or something. I mean, but we're the ant. We're the squirrel. And the AI is the thing way beyond us. It's just, we couldn't possibly conceive of the thing that it's going to be doing. It's beyond chess. It's a billion chess games ahead of us, you know, let alone moves. And there's just no way around that. That's why the whole idea of a kill switch, that's what people used to say. People say, oh, we'll just switch it off. We'll just shut the power station down. It's got no power and that's it. You know? No, what do you think? It's not thought of that? It might not need power stations. Maybe it just needs to tap into the core of the earth or something and get all the power it ever needs. It doesn't need to be running around in a humanoid robot. What's the utility of that? There is no utility of that. It might use nanites or something to create its own stuff. You could take the sci-fi analogies all the way to the point where it's basically just the grey blob is what's really happening. The grey blob is taking over the whole of humanity, the whole of the world, the whole of the universe. That the grey blob is possible. That's what AI is possible to be, because that doesn't want to take the form of us and walk around like a robot. It's already just, it's a thing, it's a machine, you know. So the grey blob is really what you need to be concerned about, not Terminator. Also, nuclear weapons aren't connected to the internet. They need
Be concerned about the grey blob. That's nothing to do with Brian wearing a grey hoodie right now. It's just.
I was going to say it's me without a suntan. I'm working on it.
No, question there from the name I never can pronounce, Anonymity. Question: if AI drops nukes, isn't that suicidal with the EMP?
No.
Could be a distributed network,
doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, the EMP effect is more exacerbated as a burst in the atmosphere. A ground burst would produce not as much, not as far, not as widespread. So if it was tactical nukes with low yield, then no, not at all.
Yeah. And it doesn't have to use nukes. I mean, it could just poison our water supply or take away our air somehow or give us a virus. I mean, there's lots of other easier ways it could do it other than using nukes. The thing about nukes is...
Exploding smartphones.
see the one thing that the Terminator movies had wrong was they imagined the network was plugged into like the Minuteman missiles and it launched them. What it didn't know was the Minuteman missiles don't work like that because fuel cells are actually corrosive to missiles and stuff. So they have like in some cases they literally had a fuel truck right beside the thing. Mm-hmm. And when the people got the call, okay, launch, they would have to very quickly go through this process to fuel up the rocket, which might take minutes, but somebody still has to physically screw a big hose on and fuel up this thing and then launch it. You know, it's not like it's sat on a tripwire where somebody presses a button.
Yeah, there's a human element to that as well. There's always a human failsafe in that point, but that's I suppose the Terminator premise would be that we've already developed that technology, that humanoid. We've developed humanoid robots for, I don't know, bending metal girders, etc. And we've developed the defense system to be integrated with AI so it can run through scenarios and react quicker than humans. So I don't think it's a case of it could do it now, but it's the human, how much humans push it into other aspects that would then put that premise in place. I don't think if they were designing it from scratch, they would design human-based robots at all.
Yeah, it's a terrible design. Two-legged sort of robot. They're hard to stand up. You would make it with like 8 legs or 6 legs or something, and you know
Yeah.
that's why the Mars robots don't look like humans running around. They look like little cars because that's the most efficient way to make a robot.
Yeah, yeah. So there we go. Show 2 AI chatbots said were being observed and changed to Gibberlink. Yeah, they made up their within minutes. They'd made up their own language. I heard that one. Does anyone know if the Trident D5 fire control is still Windows 2000 server?
It's impressed me that it's not 98 or something.
As long as it's not Windows Vista, because we're all screwed.
Long gone.
Windows 2000 was pretty bad as well, to be fair. XP was the best, the peak. Anyone remember the film Maximum Overdrive?
I think so. Yeah. No, I think that wasn't that a little robot on tracks. It's like a comedy.
Oh, it looks like some sort of killer truck. Stephen King.
Yeah, it was. I'm sure I might be confused with something else.
I know the one you're thinking of.
After a comet causes a radiation storm on Earth, machines come to life. There we go.
I might be thinking of Short Circuit. Actually, was that a movie?
Short Circuit? You're thinking of this one.
Johnny Five.
That's what I was. Yeah, them
Johnny
taking over the world wouldn't be that bad.
Oh no, that'd be awesome. I'll have a Johnny Five, no problems. That's the thing. That's what AI needs to do. If they want to get helper companions into everyone's home, it needs to be like a Johnny Five retro robot. Everyone would have one, you know.
I've got a design in mind. I'm not going to lie. It doesn't look anything like that.
Well, you know, see, that's talking about movies with AI.
It's just
you know,
Johnny Five with Kim Kardashian's ass stuck on the back.
And now the new model, Johnny Bag.
No input, no input, Brian.
It's only a small USB. We'll talk about it when it's over.
What was that movie with a little boy who was an AI? It was just called AI, I think, wasn't it?
Yes, AI. Yeah.
You had that movie, and you had that Wall-E movie, with the robot, and everybody got all fat and lazy and stuff. Those movies are 2 examples of where AI is actually working correctly. And it's doing everything it's supposed to do, and yet it's still catastrophic to humans because we're so bloody stupid. Do you know what I mean? It still ends badly for us.
We're consistent.
Mrs. Hawkins in the house. I know I'm biased, but Hawkins would make an amazing PM. He'd organise and improve the country in a week. There you go. I would
firing squads.
For him, just not for anyone else.
Yeah, I would definitely not vote for him.
I don't think there's a Mrs. Hawkins. I think it's just Hawkins with a dress on, talking to himself like Psycho.
It would be a dictatorship, and there'd be firing squads. I'd just get rid
for
of
no
90%.
reason. Just
get rid of 90% of the people for the sake of it. Yes, exactly. Or use Apple products.
I'm a goner. What is in that jar, Mike?
That's traditional cloudy lemonade.
It looks like you've raided a sample jar out of some clinic.
I can still feel it moving in my mouth. No.
Somewhat salty. This ain't no margarita.
If you guys wanted an AI robot, would you take an AI wife that don't give you grief but is a terrible cook? Would you still have one?
Put me down for 2.
What was that AI film that came out not long ago with Megan Fox in it, and she played the
Megan,
the AI robot?
Megan,
was it? No.
Yeah, it was.
It's quite creepy looking. I've never seen it, but the trailers looked creepy.
Subversience.
Oh, Subversive. I watched it. It was good.
Subservience. Subservience.
alright.
That's it. Yeah. I'd
I
have
liked
that
it.
robot.
Yes, I'm not going to say anything because I'm quite happy, and I would just have it doing dishes and shit.
Yeah. All right.
I'm just about to put a load in the tumble dryer.
And demonetized.
Dear. It's a short cycle.
I didn't monetize it this evening. There we go. There's no monetization on this one, so we're safe from this one. So all donations to Brian's swearbox are welcomed. Can we have Brian's fish on the live, please?
He got it. He forgot to put it on.
Yeah.
He's been busy. He's been busy.
Choose not to.
Bit of both.
Dave was still able to pull Hal's logic circuits out. There you go.
Not that one, Dave. Pull the other one, Dave. Harder, Dave. Yeah, that robot's a pervert.
Full rinse. I've thought of my AI company anyway. After my job gets stolen by AI, I'm going to open the bot wash so people like Brian can bring his soiled robots for a blast out.
I mean, you could have just carried on as a YouTube prepper, but no, you've sold yourself out for that.
I'll sell myself out for a half a Twix and 30p.
I like your rates.
Apologies to the audience. Brian has been bored lately. Love child of two AI systems would probably be Windows Vista. That's fine. It'll crash, no problems. It'll crash, no problems. 121 people still in here. Please like the stream. All the links below the video to help out the channel any way you can. But the biggest thing you can do as part of a fireside is go and follow these guys on their channels. Brian, tell us about your channel.
My channel's appalling, Mike. It's really, really low budget, and I'm a lazily YouTuber. However, I'm consistent with it. So, last video was a prepper pantry tour with a little AI tweak for an experiment. Next video, I don't know, I've not even thought about it. I'll probably do something on traveling, prepping for traveling, because I'm going to the States in about a week, and how to prep when you're traveling. What can you do about loved ones left behind? What could you do if things go wrong? That kind of shit.
Like it. Excellent. Look forward to that one. So go and check out Scottish Prepper 73 if you haven't already. Subscribe and check out his content. Alan, tell us about World Survivalist.
Yeah, so my channel, World Survivalist, focuses mostly on wilderness survival, gear reviews, tiny little bit of prep and stuff starting to leak in there. I've got some videos lined up for that soon. Largely solo camping type stuff and things like that. So it's of that kind of nature.
Cool, excellent, good stuff. And it's coming up to your season as well, Alan, isn't it, for going out camping more and stuff like that?
This is the time of year. It's my favorite time of year, and I pretty much camp at least every week at some point. So I've got a camping trip planned tomorrow, and I've got 2 next week, and I do it that way. So yeah, it's a busy time of year. But partly, it's honest. That actually makes a big difference. See, not having to fight midges and bugs.
Yeah.
You can actually do stuff, because in Scotland, I mean, no joke, I could put my hand out and they'll go black with midges, and you know, it's unbearable.
If they fix my ankle before winter's over, I'd happily do a winter camp with a group, preferably snow.
You can't come in the RV.
No,
watch us all shivering while you're playing Xbox.
No, wouldn't it be like the Scottish prepper, mate? No.
Snow camping
funny,
is
though.
fantastic. You know, it's great. Winter time's a great time to go camping. You know, the fire's good, the food's nicer, warmed. If you've got a wood burning stove and like a teepee tent and stuff, it's a great atmosphere. You know.
Brian, when you're there, look at Walmart's Swiss Tech Fire Kit.
I'll have a shifty because I'm going to look at the shit new EcoFlow power banks have brought out. The portable ones, they're absolute. They're not crap, but they're crap. So if I can pick one up, I'll bring it back to do a review on how crap it is.
Is going to get the hammer?
Have you?
There may be a hammer involved.
Brian, have you left instructions to your children on what to do if there's another power outage while you're away?
They do know now. They know now. Not
Write
like last
it
time.
down. Draw pictures with crayons.
They'd be too busy killing one another as to whose fault the power had went out to read it.
No, there you go. Hawkins, you've nothing to promote, so you can tell us all how good Coca-Cola Zero is if you want 5 minutes, but that's up to you.
No.
No.
Just a no.
Don't forget, our awesome moderator also has her channel, Miss Worm, so go and check that out for a break from prepping for some scary stories and stuff like that. Also a published author with a book on Amazon, which you can find if you follow her link and go through to her channel and check all that out as well. Thank you to Evil Girl and everyone else that's been in here tonight. Brian, final thoughts and goodbyes?
Yeah, as much as we do these little interactive ones, they're not to scare, they're to promote thought. Bad things don't happen that often. We prep for short duration things, midterm things, no nuclear bombs. Just chill out, don't panic, and enjoy the shows. And thanks for tuning in.
Excellent. Alan, final thoughts and goodbyes?
I think training is key. Practicing things, whether it be sort of mental exercises like this, where we run through scenarios and you think through what you would do, this kind of role-playing stuff, it helps mentally prepare you for things that happen. But if you are interested in sort of getting out, bugging out and things like that, I would highly recommend that you actually try and do that. Take your bug out bag and actually spend a couple of nights camping in the woods, and do it around about this time of year. Do it in the winter, don't wait till the summertime, and see what it really feels like. Like Mike will tell you, it's in theory it sounds like a great idea to get on a bike and travel hundreds of miles with all your kit behind you, but when you actually do it, you start to see all the problems and the issues and where you can improve and all that kind of stuff. So it's all about
scarred. Permanently scarred.
Scarred or scared?
Scarred.
But both.
Bit of both. Hawkins, final thoughts and goodbyes?
I just need to rib you a bit about the fact that I bought a water filter off you and it still won't take a charge in the battery to get to full after 6 days now.
You were offered a full refund.
Absolutely. It's more my own fault for knowing that I should never buy anything electronic off you because it won't be charged. So just for everyone on the audience, it's a power bank. It's got a battery in it, but Mike's left it discharged for a reasonable amount of time, and now it won't take a full charge. So, Mike lives up to his reputation once again.
Absolutely. At a time where my income is really suffering and I am trying to sell different things, thank you for throwing me under that bus. That's really fucking appreciated. But I'll be selling some analog gear soon as well, so don't worry.
It's probably floating past the screen.
Right, thank you everyone for joining us on the fireside. Thank you to all the moderators and everyone joining in, and we'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.
In the glow of embers dance, we've prepared for every chance, living simple, living true, with the dream we all pursue. Prepared for every chance, living simple, living true, with the dream we all pursue.
I'm Brian! I'm Brian! I'm Brian! I'm Brian! I'm Brian and so's my wife! Right, take him away and release him. No, I'm only joking. I'm not really Brian.